Hello. So this is kind of like last minute, but I don't see myself doing any cuts for Virgil or Static Shock as of yet. But I am gonna start getting this ready for 3D printing. Actually, you know what? Let me actually open up and change my view to display capture. So you're not gonna be able to see uh, this. Actually, no, let me first, before I do this, I'm just going to show what I actually did for this. So what I did was I actually ended up decimating each piece that I actually wanted to be its own piece. And this is going to be 3 pieces. And the reason why I set this up the way I did is because, I want to make these cuts in here. And just make sure, I think that it's okay if like this is going to be definitely a different kind of print, since it's going to be closer to like an art piece. I am going to hollow out the hand, but everything else is going to be solid. And for this, instead of using like slots to like slot it in, I think I'll just like grind down whatever extra pieces or whatever extra material is there, and then I'll use crazy glue to actually glue it. But really, I had to make sure this finger was off of the actual piece itself. So that way, and then I have like this little nook that's cut there. That way, whenever you, whoever prints it, my friend, this will be able to just be put on the ring finger in the well, the middle finger in the right way, or at least like according to the original concept, which is this. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm gonna be doing. The decimation is actually pretty high. Like each of these pieces is, it says 4 pieces. What the heck? Oh, I didn't delete this. But each of these pieces are about like 1,000,000, which is pretty high. But I did that because, again, like, it's a pretty simple piece. It's probably going to be painted, all that kind of stuff. Well, it's most likely going to be painted because it's a bit more of an art piece. I guess the only thing would be like, how would I actually paint this? You know what, actually, yeah, let's auto groups this real quick. Because the issue with this would be actually getting it inside. Where do I go? Where do I go? So yeah, for this, yeah, you see the issue with this right now is that oh, I am so sorry. That must have been so loud. And yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, what I can do is I can move this, but I guess my worry now is that the piece itself might end up looking a bit weird. But you know what? I am going to have to do it regardless. This is going to be a little hard to do. Definitely something I should have done prior to this. Like this. Basically, I want this to basically be able to slot in. I know it's going to deform it a bit, but honestly, I think it's okay because of the nature of the piece. But yeah, so something like this. Oh, what's going on? Please don't crash. Oh god, why would you crash? Ah, got so nervous. This looks a little weird, but honestly, it's the cost of doing business. Nah, okay, if that's the case, quick save. I'm gonna have to use the knife. Yeah, the reason why I quick saved is because sometimes using a knife, it actually crashes the program, so yeah. Okay, so I think that's generally better. Yeah, that's better. Let's see how it looks with the hand. Yep, that's better. Okay. So this way, when I do actually print this out. Okay, so since this is separate, I actually want to check something real quick. Let's do a live boolean. Okay, okay, that's good. So this is good for me because it gives like a clear stopping point as to like where it can go. And again, like I think crazy glue is going to be the option. So it looks like, or gorilla glue, whatever kind of glue really. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, this looks a little bit smaller, but honestly, I can live with that. I say as I update it. Yeah, but this is a piece for a friend, and yeah. So, okay, so that problem fixed, I think. Yeah, it'll definitely have to be crazy glued, but that's okay, because again, like it's meant to be like an art installation, I think. So, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right. This is probably, yeah, 152. I don't think it needs to be that high, but you know what? It's all right. Okay, so now we're just going to do a lot of Boolean operations in order to properly get this done. Okay, so make Boolean. Cannot be performed. Uh-oh. Okay, so I think I know why. It's probably because it's probably because after I decimated it, I split the model, and it was, I don't know, that's probably like an issue with the vertex position. I mean, the vertex order, something like that. But there's a way that you can fix that directly in ZBrush 2, though. I'm too lazy to actually do it. 250K. All right, so this should work, but if not, then I guess I'll just have to figure it out. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm gonna delete all this because here we have this, which is the Boolean mesh. Right, perfect. So this is 1. So part 1. I'm just naming it so I can keep track of what it is. And this can be its own piece, so I don't have to do anything for that. At this point, all that I'm going to really be doing is boolean these two pieces for the hand. So I'll make Boolean mesh. And I guess I'll hollow out. Oh, yeah, it's probably the same situation that's happening here. So I'm just gonna have to redo for this one because I didn't technically do it for this one. I did it for the other one. So custom. All right, so now I'm gonna do it again, make Boolean mesh. And once I get that done, let's delete all. I just get so nervous hitting delete all. I have deleted the wrong thing quite a number of times. And this might actually be pretty small. So the next thing that I can do, well, actually, you know what? I'll see. You know what? There's actually a way to. I don't really use it too often, but using this to actually update the size ratios, I should probably get in the habit of doing that a lot more. Anyway, so let's go ahead and hide this, and I'm going to do this, turn my Boolean on, off, and insert part 1 and the hand. And I'm going to put you guys up here. So now, when I do this, you're going to see that it's got the holes there. And this has the cuts, the proper cuts. Where's the other one? Where is it? Ah, it's right here. So this has the cuts. And this doesn't really need any cuts because that's going to be inserting into this. The hand has the cuts. This doesn't really need cuts. Okay. Because again, like this is going to be just, I might grind it down a bit. I'm not too worried about like how much material will be lost for that, but yeah, so now we got this. Okay, so the next thing is, I'm gonna go ahead and delete these. Wasn't I just hit delete and just deleted everything? Speaking of, I'm just gonna quick save real quick. Alright, so that's part 2, I guess. I don't know. Part 1. I'm not too concerned about naming right now. I just need them to be named so I can import and update. I mean, export and update. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go to Z plugin. I'm gonna export OBJ. Well, actually, here, let's go ahead and export options. Visible, export to separate files, textures, polypaint. I don't really care. ASCII, store, export settings, and export to OBJ. And for this, I'm just gonna make a folder on my desktop. Import it there. Use the file name as the file name, whatever. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is, here, I'll actually just make this a little bit bigger since on the display it is actually a bit bigger. Let me just bring this up just a little bit. All right, so now I'm just going to import and all these parts. It's probably going to be really small. I think it's probably small, honestly, because it's based off of like a pre-made mesh that I cut the hand off and just moved it around, did some sculpting. Oh, okay. Not as small as I thought, or at least let's see what happens when everything gets imported. So I actually use a program called Photon Workshop, and I actually saw this YouTube video that shows that we can actually use Photon to actually do what I'm doing here. So usually what I would do at this point is like, it kind of like, the reason why I exported into Mesh Mixer is 1, it's free, but 2, because it actually shows you where there's like problem areas in your mesh, and you can actually go to this and analysis, inspector, and it's going to show you, and you can just hit auto repair. Now, sometimes after you hit that, there might be a few issues, like some hiccups that you might not be able to fix within this program itself, but you can always bring it back into ZBrush, and you can always bring it back into ZBrush and do like another Dynamesh, or hit like a close holes function. See, like this has like so many issues. Usually I don't really, because I guess like my workflow, I usually don't work from like I Dynamesh to block out my piece, and then afterwards I'll do like a ZRemesher to retopologize, and then I'll just add subdivision levels on the ZRemesh version, you know, after projecting it and stuff like that. I'll just do any other kind of detail that's needed. This one seems pretty fine because this one was worked from a poly group, so I still do our group. And from this point you can actually go to, what was it? I think it was this, and if you go to Hollow, go to Edit, then Hollow, it's going to check out this whole thing, and usually I bring the mesh density to the highest point, and the mesh offset, it's actually pretty small. What I'm going to do for this is I'm going to set it to like 2.5, and then I'm going to hit Update Hollow. And there's a way, see, I do these things like so minor. I think I'll get better over time at using it, because to be honest, I don't think I do this often enough. I should be, oh, what the fuck? Yeah, I don't do this often enough, but there should be, okay, so you can make the hole here, but I don't really, I tend to do it in ZBrush, and then bring it back in, and then fix any issues that occur after that. Okay, and that's the only piece that I actually, well, actually no, I'm gonna hollow out the lipstick as well. It's just doing this thing here. Cancel. Don't need to unwrap anything. Okay, so I think that one is 3. So we're gonna go to Edit, make Hollow. Definitely fudge it up. I put mesh density instead of solid accuracy. So solid accuracy is how close to the surface on the inside, like the thickness, the inner surface, like how close does it look like the outside of it. Like if it's less accurate, then it looks really lumpy and smooth, which I think some people could want depending on the piece, and it also saves you on stuff, but usually for me 256 or 512 is usually a good option. But again, I'm gonna do 1.5. I'm just gonna update the hollow, and honestly I kind of just like check it. Either I check it inside of ZBrush, or there's actually a way to do it here where you can you know, cut holes, and I think you actually saw it. I think it's actually showing up here where you can generate hole. It's going to generate random holes, but I don't want them there actually. Okay, how do I see? I don't really do it here honestly, so I'm not too sure how to do this in here. But there's a way to cut it just to, okay. Oh. Let's do this. Okay, that didn't. Let's just cancel. So we'll select all of these, and okay, so by default, you can't actually export multiple things. So you actually have to go to File and change it to Selection Only. Well, or Export Whole Scene. And that really depends. And usually, if you want to do Export Whole Scene, you might want to deselect all of these, because there might be like it might, like say I have 4 pieces, it'll import each of them 4 times. That's kind of like what happened to me. I probably did something wrong, so I don't know if that'll happen to everybody. Yeah, you can actually check out, you know, the different types of printers you have here, and The point of this is so that you can see the scale on the printing bed of like whatever it is that you might have here. And for me, Anycubic is the one that I have. It usually showed up here, but it's not here. So I think you can like edit and add your own printer, or you can, yeah, you can edit and add your own printer. But I'm not really about to do that. So I'm just gonna select all of these and hit export. Export here, I guess. I'm not too concerned about like the file directories for this, to be honest, because it was a fairly short project, and it isn't like too it isn't too concerning if like the file names are all over the place, because it's only 4 things. It's not a complex model, so don't follow this kind of like file directory, because usually what I do is I create separate folders. Actually, I think I can show using my Static Shock. Oh, I should probably. So you can actually, so here I'll just like do like stuff like assets, and I'll just import like, dump files that I'm really not really concerned about, like, and I'll name them all types of things that you don't really need. Or you can do like shells, which is usually empty, but usually that's when I'm doing like real-time stuff. So this file structure is actually copied from like a base asset folder that I usually work from, or a base character. Base character asset folder, and they're all structured a little bit differently, but I just copy them and then just rename things. But yeah, like this is where I would put stuff like the high poly, the low poly, and then the shells. And then of course, I have like textures depending on like what I'm gonna do. Oh wait, what was that for? Oh, that was probably for another thing. And then of course, reference videos that I might take. So like right now I have like tons of videos. So this is probably a huge file right now, but I'm gonna be cutting all of that down anyways. And the project files. So like again, like this is meant to be a mimic, or like it just has files for like softwares that I usually work in. And then progress. I like to keep track of my progress. It's always fun to see how far I've actually gotten with the file. Like this is when I think this was like the first day or the second day when I started posing, just to get an idea of like how I wanted them to look. And then of course, let's see what's supposed to be saved. Where is it? Right here. So now we have it at this point already, which is like a month in. But yeah, that's kind of like how I structure things a little bit. But here, let's go back to ZBrush real quick, and I'm just gonna go in this file, and I'm gonna import desktop. Oh, mesh. Okay, it's gonna import it all as one, I think. Yeah, this is the issue that I run into. I kind of have like issues with my with importing and shit. It's kind of like a problem, not gonna lie. But yeah, so I can just yeah, for in this case, I'll just go ahead and just split parts, and it'll split. Oh fuck, yeah, that inner hand should not have been split. Actually, not. I'm just gonna delete all, because I think that screwed up the vertex order or something. I don't know, but usually that's what happens. So I'm just gonna do this one at a time. And for this, I am going to go ahead and hit double just in case. Okay, split hidden. Split hidden. And split hidden. Now for this, what I like to do is I'll just insert like anything really. It doesn't really matter what it is, at least right now. And I'll hit live boolean and do this, and then just to check how thick that inner hole is, which I think is fine. And then last but not least, I'll have to do the same thing for the lipstick, and just making sure. Okay, let's turn that off. Let's see what's going on here. Let's turn this off. Okay, this didn't actually make a hole. I don't want that to be thick. So, yeah, and this is just me checking, so I'm not too concerned about like having to re-import, but I'm gonna go back to that and go to Hollow. And I'm pretty much doing the same thing. So I'm gonna do maybe like instead of that, I'll just do 0.5 and solid accuracy. I'll do this. I guess mesh density, update Hollow. All right. Now we're gonna export you as lipstick.
Chat.
Hello, hello. This is my girlfriend Sydney. She's so beautiful and awesome.
Oh, okay. Well, what I need to talk to you about, I can't say on stream, but it's okay. I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay. All right. So right now I'm just like continuing to check. Let's see. Oh my God, it's the same thing. What the heck? I guess it's just maybe I have to make the thickness. I have to make it less. So maybe like 0.5 maybe, I guess. Update. And then we'll try this again. All right, now let's import that. All right, it's writing it. Okay, now we import lipstick. Okay, there we go. Where's this stuff? What the hoop? Oh, okay. Let's delete this. Insert cylinder. Make that a bit small. Oh. And subtract. Okay, so now we've got that. I don't know what happened there. I probably wasn't exporting it properly, but yeah. So now it's like that. Usually at this point, that's when you'll just do the same operation that I just did with making these cuts, but with the holes. And after you make the cuts with the holes, at that point, that's when you re-import it back into Mesh Mixer, do the inspection, you do the cleanup, and then re-export it back to re-export it again. And you can use that mesh, or you can export it back into ZBrush for any fixes that you might want to do. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward, and you kind of do the same thing for like every other mesh. Like say like, for example, if, oh, not that one. If I wanted to make a cut like this, right? So now I have this. I'm just gonna go like this. Well, actually, because I think the inner part is not getting, yeah, there we go. So I'll do something like this, but you know what? Actually, let's pretend that the inner part isn't there. So I'm gonna go ahead and split hidden. And at this point, you can just go ahead and do a close holes function, and it's gonna be a really solid cut there. So one thing you can do is like you can either mask that edge or mask this edge and do like a quick polish. Just like a small one. Yeah. And the reason why is so that I'm gonna actually get rid of, because I'm not gonna, like, I am gonna use the mesh, but I already created it, so it's like I can do whatever I want. Well, yeah, I can do whatever I want with this. So delete it in, close holes. All right, and then I'll select that, do a polish, and yeah, it's a little weird right now, but usually I do this cut before I do my Dynamesh. Actually, no, I do this cut after the Dynamesh too, but it doesn't usually look like this when you do that, and I think, I'm not sure why it does. Oh, that's probably why. But like I say, I hit it to 1. Regardless, you do that because you kind of want those edges to slot into each other, and then, you know, anything else like fixing that seam line you can, but I think of these. Oops. Sorry, that was my vacuum. It's a very loud vacuum. But anyway, so I think of these cuts like that I might want to make in order to put those the locks or the keys in, because, you know, that's when you start to key your different pieces so you can slot them in after you print them, because, you know, some pieces might be a little too big to actually put on the printing bed. Like, I do think this piece might actually end up being too big for the printing bed, so I might end up having to key it anyways. And I might actually end up having to do that inspection, do the hollowing out again anyways, which I don't really mind, because again, these are pretty simple and straightforward pieces. I just wanted to do this to show like a quick, I guess, process video. I'll do something that's a bit more refined with static, because I'll take my time with that. This one is kind of rushed. But yeah, so yeah, at this point, that's when you'll do like an insertion of like a cube or something, and then you can either do like a taper and just like, you know, taper this end, straighten it, go ahead and accept, make it a bit smaller. Is the solo one? Yeah, it is. Okay. And then yeah, you can put it wherever. And usually if you start keying stuff, you kind of want it to be the same size. And there's actually a science behind the direction that you want to key things. Like, yeah, there's a bit of a science to it, but I'll get into that when I'm doing Virgil, because I'm going to do that tomorrow. I don't normally stream on Fridays, but I'll stream on Friday just to show you guys, because I actually really like this part. It's actually a pretty fun part to do it. It feels almost like Lego reversed, I guess. Anywho, so here, let's go ahead and hide this piece, turn this off. So usually you would do something like this, and then at that point you can do another Dynamesh function, or you can just send it directly to, you know, actually no, it's actually better to do a Dynamesh. And as much as it might reduce some of the quality, I think that it's actually worth it, because it fills out the whole mesh. And again, like, usually I do my cuts and stuff like that before I do my inspections and before I do hollowing out. That's why usually I try to plan out which pieces are going to be cut, so that I can know which pieces I'm going to merge, which pieces I'm going to cut, and which pieces need to be Dynameshed and put together. But yeah, you'll do that, and then after this, you know, after you do the whole process that I just showed at the very beginning, that's when you'll do the same thing where you insert. What I do is I insert a cylinder, and For this, it's actually a little bit different. So what I do is I do a group by normals, and I do crease polygroups. I divide it a bit, and I uncrease. I do a quick, well, you don't really have to do a polish, but yeah, you don't actually have to. Delete lower. And what I do next is, okay, so let's make sure the hand is on top. Turn off live boolean. I'll do this. So at this point, this is when you start putting drainage holes. And drainage holes are pretty important because since the mesh itself is actually hollowed out, you actually don't want all of that fluid to just be stuck inside of the mesh itself, because if it is, then yeah, you're just going to deal with a whole plethora of problems. And right now, since I closed the mesh, I actually refilled it basically, but this is, I would usually put these holes on the sides. I used to, sometimes you could put holes here, like right on the key right here. And I think the purpose for doing that would be like if you want to put like a magnet, because you can actually online, say like on Amazon or even eBay, you can buy these like tiny magnets. Of course, like when you do buy them, you want to get the correct size, because at that point you want to make sure to put that size or make this hole that size as well. Because again, like, you know, I think when it comes down to printing, size is very important. Proper measurements are super important, and that's why I think that there's an entire drop-down menu for resizing, checking the mesh volume, all that kind of stuff. Oh man, I miss using the preform Formlabs. Very expensive, but I get why it was so expensive, but not anymore now. Now it's like any printer could do that, but it was fun using that. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, that's pretty much my process for doing this type of stuff. And of course, like, it changes project to project, because again, like when you're doing your cuts, I would say if you ever worked on a real-time character, you kind of want to think of it the same way you do as UVs. You kind of want to try to figure out where you can make these cuts in places that aren't going to be as easily found, but also on top of that, makes sense for the model too. Especially when it's big, because when it's big, you're like this hand, you're going to probably have to cut it up. And I wouldn't worry too much about, depending on the project, you might not have to worry too much about seam lines. But the reason why is because say like I'm using this piece in order to make a mold. In that case, you probably don't have to worry too much about seam lines, because when you make a mold, a lot of that gets filled in. Or you can just fill it in with like so there's a trick that you can do, is like after you print it and you know you put the pieces together, but you can still see that seam line, you can actually get some resin and just like fill up the creases with the resin, and then put it inside of like, or just put it under a UV lamp, or put it inside of your, I have a UV Anycubic UV spinner thingamajig. And yeah, basically after you do that, you can just put some UV light on it to basically harden it. And you know, exposure is usually like really short time, so it really hardens it. And then you can just use a sandpaper and just sand it down just a little bit. That way, you know, when you start making your mold, like the plastic mold or the resin mold or whatever, then that won't be there. And then yeah, and then whatever you want to fill it in with, or whatever material, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much the process for this Ado. But I do hope that was helpful. Thanks.